Welcome, everybody, to 8192 The Truth. My name is Lad Supernon. We are live in Portland, Oregon. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my dad, Joel, the Godfather Supernon. This podcast is for Brother Sin. What a great night of MMA fights. We learned that nobody beats the Stipe. Chael won. Rory McDonald won. Michael Chandler won. And DC smooshed.
Okay, so it was practically a perfect night of fights. I tell you, so I was at a job interview from 6:40 Pacific Coast time, and I think I got back in the fourth round of the Rory McDonald fight. So let me paint the picture. I had Lad hooked up. I had to get the Paramount channel through Sling TV on my iPad, and I ran that to the big television, and I got the UFC on UFC Fight Pass on the computer. So when I left, or actually when I get back, Lad has the complete setup. So bring the fans up to the first portion of both shows.
Okay, so there was a couple fights I didn't really know about in Bellator, but I know Aaron Pico smooshed a guy who was in the military with 2 body shots in like less than 40 seconds. And when Chael fought Vanderlei, Aaron Pico made his MMA debut. If you guys don't know, he's an Olympic wrestler. He was one fight away from making the Olympic team.
1 point. He was 1 point away from making the Olympic team as a 19-year-old.
Yes. So after that disappointment, he made his MMA debut, and then he got caught with a punch, and then just got choked out in like 40 seconds. I mean, choked unconscious when Chael fought Vanderlei. And since then, he's racked up 2 first-round finishes in a combined less than 2 minutes.
How did Michael Chandler look on this? We're talking about Bellator.
I watched the Rob Font and Thomas Almeida fight was going on. Rob Font beat Thomas Almeida with a couple punches and a head kick.
Rob Font beat Almeida?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
so you didn't...
but Michael Chandler looked good. It was like a 30-26, 30-25 decision. That Japanese dude was game, though. He took some bombs, and he rocked Chandler a couple times.
Oh, he did. Well, Chandler, when you throw as many punches as Chandler, you're going to get hit. You don't have to keep doing that. It's still recording, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Does that drive you nuts? Okay. All right. So Chandler, you're going back and forth, mainly watching the UFC on your computer, or are you doing back and forth?
As soon as the Rob Font fight ended, I watched the last couple Bellator fights, because there was a couple fights on the main card that I didn't care about.
Okay, so it was, talk about going head-to-head. When I get home, I watch the 4th and 5th round of the Rory McDonald fight. Then DC's up. Thank God DC got done before Chael started. But when Chael started fighting, so was Ngannou
and Stipe.
And Stipe. So it was tough. I tell you, I absolutely spent all week practically blowing Chael on the pod. I mean, just oh my God, it was painful to give him that much of a rub. But now there's the payoff. He had a fantastic performance. I tell you what, again, when you're rooting really, really hard for somebody, you see things that maybe aren't there. But man, I tell you what, that was not a boring fight to me. Chael took some punches. I mean, because Chael stands in the middle of the pocket. But for the first time in his career, he landed an overhand left. Now wrestlers are, we get the overhand right. As a wrestler, we get the overhand right. It's a fake shot and a punch you get right to the dome. That's the first time I've seen Chael land an overhand left. he was phenomenal. And by the third round, I was like, okay, we got this one in the bag. I probably spent more time watching Stipe and Ngannou. Chael lost a round. The only round. When did he get slammed? Did he get slammed in the first round?
He got slammed in the first round.
Okay, so the only round I could possibly give Rampage. I mean, again, I thought it was a clear cut 30-27 win. Now, here's the problem, because I need to find out, because if they gave Rampage that first round, they were looking for a Tennessee screw job.
And Rampage almost got choked out in the last 10 seconds of the first round.
He wasn't going to choke that big neck. So I want to find out. I want to find out about that, because again, I'm rooting for Chael. But this is my sport. I know this sport. I know it as well as the commentators. I know as well as the judges. I know it as well as you guys. So yeah, I want to find out. I want to find out, because if the judges gave Rampage the first round, they were looking to screw Chael, because he won all 3 rounds. What do you think?
He won all 3 rounds handily, in my opinion. I mean, he controlled most of the fight. I mean, he had Rampage in the clinch almost the whole time. And, I mean, he got him down. He had him in some compromising positions where, in my opinion, I mean, Chael's my boy. I mean, I probably see things that I make it a bigger deal than it really is. But to me, Rampage had a couple submission attempts where he was looking like he was going to get submitted. I knew he wasn't going to tap him out, but it was just a really, really good performance by Chael.
Yeah, now the only way to watch your buddy fight is at home. There's no need to go. God, I've spent so much money going to those fights and flying all over the place and getting the tickets and the hotels and everything, and I'm just a nervous wreck the whole time. I had the opportunity to go to go and see the Therapist, Chael's son, and his little baby Priya.
When did you see him?
Yes, I saw him yesterday and today.
Really?
Yeah. Right before we worked out, I went and seen him yesterday.
Why didn't you wake me up?
Because you were sleeping. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Brittany asked me, this is what time did we go work out? Like 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
So this was like 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Brittany asked me if I was nervous, and I said no, I'm not. I'm not nervous. Wasn't at all. Had some fun. Had to get reacquainted with Thero. As a matter of fact, it was kind of so. This kid. It was always cool going over to the house, because Thero loved me so much, and he would just drag me into the back room. So he didn't give me he didn't go crazy like Danger Dog would. So I was like, oh man, I was feeling bad, but then I was like, okay, I know what I'll do. So I got to my phone, and I had some pictures in my phone. I was like, this is me, bro. And he got it. And so we went out and did our thing in the garage, and then I flung them all over the place. But anyway, I wasn't nervous. Me and Lad had a great, absolutely phenomenal workout. I told we were doing back and forth on the treadmill from punches to running. I told Lad to give one for old CLP. He ran 10.5 miles an hour for like a minute and a half. Didn't even look like you were going that hard.
No, I mean, I could have probably went a couple miles faster.
We're going to throw you in the wrestling room when you get those braces off. You got to get down like Charlie Bizzle.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's been telling me that. Everybody's been telling me, hey, you need to start wrestling. I think you'd be a good fighter.
It'll be good for you. It'll be good. Well, you're so tough, mentally tough. I don't want to see you get binked, but you get the braces off, and you can squabble in one fashion or another. Lad's huge. Lad's almost 6 feet tall. It's crazy. I remember when I was a freshman in high school, I was 5'2", 126 pounds. So where were we? What were we talking about? Okay. So I wasn't nervous. It was great. One of the best. You did that, Lad. You did not have to do that. Okay, we're still going. Anyway, don't hit that. Just hit that. So. That was one of the funnest nights of fight with Bellator going back to back. If it's not Chael fighting, are we even watching Bellator?
No.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, if I'm being honest, and that UFC was on, I think we flipped back and forth, but I don't think we would have had that extravagant hookup. Maybe we would. I don't know. I think. Okay, I think that was a great performance by Chael. Uh, Obviously, he wanted to be at 214. He was at 222, and he fought well. That's a good weight. Let's get that out of our head that we need to be 214 pounds. I truly believe that fight is going to be tougher than the Mir Fedor fight. So again, I'm rooting for Chael. I had the opportunity to meet Frank Mir last year. We did a podcast together, or a live show. Frank's an absolutely great guy. His wife's wonderful. Richard Hunter, great people. But I want the Fedor Mir fight to go to the distance, and then I want Chael to fight Mir as soon as possible. I think that's got to be a huge confidence builder, beating Rampage. I don't care. Please don't tell me about how fat Rampage was. You go fight him.
Yeah, a Rampage is tough as hell, man. I mean, he's always been tough. He's always been a fighter. I mean, he may not have been the most technical fighter. He won the belt. He's just a plain fighter. He was never a coach. He was never like he's just a plain fighter who doesn't give up.
He won't give up. That door is so easy to find too, man. That door is so easy to find in the cage, so after rubbing Chael all week, he comes through with a absolutely phenomenal performance. I've had a very, very quick and great weekend with my son. I'm going to be very, very sad on that plane. Now, I started a 90-day program, much like most of you, on April 1st. That finishes, or January 1st. That finishes April 1st, and I will relocate back to Portland right after that. In April. No matter what, I will be here. That's a vow I make to you, son, to you guys too. So I'm gonna go murder it for 60 days. I'm gonna go murder it in Kansas City for 60 days. I'm gonna stack as many chips as I can, and I'm gonna get in the best shape I can. Then I'm gonna be back out here. This is my home. Everything was beautiful about it. It's raining like it always did. I was sick of the rain, and now I'm not. After going through a winter in Kansas City, I am not sick of the rain. It's time for Dad to get back home. So we're just rambling here. Now, let's get to DC.
DC had one of the best performances I've seen since his first fight with Rumble. I did not think he looked that good against Rumble the second time. I think Rumble kind of... This is my honest opinion. I think Rumble kind of gave him that victory. But in his last two performances, even though he got head kicked to death by John Jones, he looked great. I mean, Daniel Cormier survived the storm, and if there was 10 seconds left in that first round against Volkan Ozdemir, he would have submitted him.
Yeah, and hats off to Daniel, man. Hats off to Daniel to be stuck in that situation. Okay, to be the champ and have lost your last fight as a competitor as Daniel is. He came up through the toughest sport there is, called wrestling. Okay, that is the toughest sport there is, and if you don't believe me, send your kid to wrestling practice and see how long he lasts. See how long your kid or you last. You make it a week, you make it a day. I've had friends be all excited and tell me, hey, my kid's out for the wrestling team and he's just so fired up. And then the next week, hey, how's your kid doing in wrestling? You know what? He's going to concentrate on baseball. It's tough. And if we throw you in that room, lad, there's only one rule. You got to stick it out a year. You got to stick it out 365 days. You start in March, you stick it out 365 days. That's the only rule. So anyway, Daniel came up through the toughest sport there is, made it to the Olympics. I think he missed weight at the Olympics, which is really, really tough. and he's coming off a loss, and he's the champ. So he basically validates the championship, and he's right, man. He hasn't done anything wrong. This John Jones has put a cloud over his career, and he shouldn't. Now, UFC, listen, be careful what you're trying to do to the Stipe. Okay, you thought the invincible, unbeatable MMA version of Mike Tyson, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, man, he's big and strong, and he showed a tremendous amount of heart. But Stipe is a whole different animal. And now he deserves to be called the greatest UFC heavyweight champion of all time because he's got 3 victories in a row. Three defenses in a row. And he has went through Murderer's Row. Now, so they give the wrong guy the rub. The UFC gives the wrong guy the rub. They can say whatever they want about that, but they did. They were promoting a new champion, and it didn't work out for them. It hardly ever works out for them when they do that. Now, right off the bat, old Uncle Dana, Dana Johnny Bobby, is trying to push old DC into that heavyweight fight, which I actually agree with. But they should have gave it a little time. He should have came off and just really kind of hats off to Stipe. So yeah, that old Midwestern boy, he ain't going anywhere. I think he beats Kane. Kane's been on the shelf too long, and as tough as DC is, I think he'd get the best of DC too. Stipe's a put together 245 pounds. Daniel probably walks around at 230 pounds, so it wouldn't be that much of a mismatch. But I think Stipe beats DC. I'd love to see the fight. I just wish they wouldn't have started promoting it right after the fight or pushing it right after the fight.
Because, I mean, he just beat the invincible Ngannou. He's so good. He's so powerful. He has the hardest human punch in recorded history. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I give props to him for coming up the way he did. I mean, he was homeless 5 years ago. He lived in Cameroon or whatever that's called. But, to count off old Stipe like that is just a plain douche move, man.
Who wasn't buying it?
Us.
We were not buying what they were trying to sell. Brother Sin was not buying what they were trying to sell. 8192 was not buying what they were trying to sell. And Dana, he could have spent 2 more weeks at that professional UFC institute. It wouldn't have made a bit of difference. Okay? You don't understand, Dana, because you never wrestled before. You never wrestled before. And grappling ain't wrestling. It's just not. When you're trying to get up and you can't, it's the most tiring feeling in the world. The fact that he hung in there, the fact that Ngannou hung in there for that long and didn't find the door. And I tell you what, there is no more physical, other than something catastrophic. But in terms of fitness and cardiovascular wise, there's nothing worse than being that tired and having to go 3 more minutes, let alone needing to go another 20 minutes.
Yeah. Ngannou was exhausted after the first round. He did not find a way out. He hung in there to the very end. I was impressed with Ngannou of that caliber. But the fact that people were counting out Stipe and expecting Ngannou to starch him is insane to me.
Nobody beats the Stipe.
Nobody
beats the Stipe. Okay, so wonderful fight for Chael. Wonderful fight for DC. I don't think any of our guys lost.
No.
Every single person we were rooting for.
Except Almeida. I was rooting for Almeida, but that is nothing compared to what happened.
Yeah, that was one of the funnest nights of fights. I don't remember having a better time. Going back and forth. It was really cool. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers are. It'll be interesting to see I tell you what, it's not Bellator numbers are going to be really, really hard for a lot of reasons. A, It's not on everybody's cable channel, and they switched the network. So now you don't know. I had to go. I mean, you got to be a hardcore fan. Generally, if you're just a casual fan and Bellator is not on Spike TV, you're not going to seek it out. What I did, you're not going to get Sling TV, run it to your phone, put it on your big TV. So it's not going to be a fair. It's not going to be a fair evaluation of how well that fight did against a really good co-main and great main event for the UFC. So now let's talk a little bit about Mir and Fedor. I've got Mir. I don't think it's that hard. Fedor's only chance is to knock him out with a big punch early. I think Mir wins that fight.
Yeah, I think Mir wins that fight. I think Mir can knock him. Definitely has more ways to win. I think he can definitely either submit him, either break one of his limbs, or knock him out. I don't see any way that Fedor could win that fight, because he just lost to Matt Mitrione in 2 minutes. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, Fedor's gonna have to catch him quick, and like I said before, not a lot of people have just starched old Frank Mir, and Frank Mir's a big old boy, I tell you that. So yeah, I mean, but rooting wise, I would love, because Mir's got more ways to beat Fedor. That means Mir has more ways to beat Chael P. So I would rather Fedor win the fight, but I don't think he's going to. Do you know what the third Bellator fight is after that?
Matt Mitrione versus Roy Big Country Nelson.
I'm going with Roy.
Same here. Roy starched him 5 years ago. I mean, I do agree Matt has improved since then, but I've always been a big fan of Roy. I don't know why Dana hates him so much, but yeah, Roy definitely has more ways to win the fight. He can beat Mitrione on the ground, and he can starch him. Matt's only chance to win this fight is if he knocks Roy out.
He ain't knocking the Roy out.
Because, I mean, Roy has one of the best chins I've ever seen ever. So, I think Roy wins that fight.
And then that leaves us Bader and King Mo. I'm going to go with... I'm going to ride with King Mo because King Mo rode with Chael last night.
I'm a big fan of King Mo for sticking it with Chael.
Okay. All right. So now over to the upcoming UFC event, which was just announced this weekend. UFC 222 has Edgar versus Holloway.
That's a great fight.
And UFC 223 has JJ
and Thug Rose, baby.
Thug Rose, and the championship is Khabib
and Big Ferg.
Big Ferg. And we'll talk more about those fights coming up. It was a great announcement. It was kind of weird how much... the MMA reporters in this business they're so annoying. Who cares why Dana says he won't strip? Miss H is hardly a fan of this sport, and she's like, why are they spending so much time trying to take away Connor's belts? That's a good point. He still got the belt. This is for the vacant belt because he's not defending his belt. I don't know what makes it's not that big of a difference. Who cares? As long as it's not called an interim title, it's fine by me. But the reason they're doing that, the reason they're being so kind to Connor is because he's a cash cow and this is a business. They're in a business. So they're taking care of their cash cow. They're treating him with kid gloves. And they should. I would love to see Khabib and Big Ferg go 5 rounds, and you can never count out Big Ferg. JJ and Rose, I'm going to ride with Rose, but it's not going to break my heart if that sets up a trilogy match. And we always got to ride with Frankie. We can't quit riding with Frankie.
I know. There is a realistic chance that Max could win this fight, but Frankie's just so tough, and he's just got... again, he came up on one of the toughest sports there ever is in wrestling. And he also has great striking, has cardio for days. I mean, I've never there has never been a fight where Frankie fights where I'd actually had trouble picking outside of Frankie's because I'm a such big fan of Frankie so much. But you can't just automatically go. I mean, I'm riding with Frankie.
We're riding with Frankie. We're riding with Big Ferg. And we're riding with Rose. Right?
Doug Rose, baby.
All right, so we're riding with those three. We'll talk more with Brother Shin about this weekend's cards. Football today, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, probably a 13-point underdog against the Patriots. Who are we rooting for, lad?
The Jaguars.
Who's your mom love?
The New England Patriots because she's a bandwagon fan.
No, she loves Tom Brady. Loves the Tom Brady. So I'm rooting for Jacksonville. And Minnesota versus Philadelphia. You're rooting for Philly?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a Chicago Bear fan through and through. These words are actually going to hurt me. I'm actually going to have pain in getting them out of my face. Oh God, I don't think I can. I'm trying right now to get them through.
I didn't know you liked Philadelphia.
I don't like Philadelphia. I'm a diehard Bear fan, which means this saying I'm rooting for Minnesota is hard. I got it out. I'm rooting for Minnesota, but the only reason I'm rooting for Minnesota, is the Super Bowl's in Minnesota. So it would be cool for the people of Minnesota to have a Super Bowl and have their home team playing. It would be great. It'd be good for Minnesota. That's the only reason I'm rooting for them. But it's not going to break my heart if Philadelphia wins. So we got that going. KU, the University of Kansas, plays Oklahoma on Tuesday. Excited about that basketball game. That's about it. That's all I got for today. You got anything, lad?
Nope.
So I'm getting on a plane at 4 o'clock today. It's going to be heartbroken. I do not want to leave. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing you have to do when you leave somewhere you don't want to leave, get a first-class ticket like the Godfather did. Because I'll be sad, but I'll be styling, baby. Deuces.